Welcome back to the Hoosier High School Huddle. My name is Craig Crash Collins, joined by Brandon Scott, otherwise known as B. Scott. Whether you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, Anchor, whether you're watching on 3C Media on YouTube, we welcome you guys in to our sectional preview show. I know sectionals got underway on Tuesday and Wednesday, but there is still a lot of basketball left to be played. We're going to basically go through all 64 sectionals tonight. And our plan is to do it kind of in a rapid fire way, but still give you guys all the little nuggets that you will need for the remainder of the games. So it should be a fun time, should be, an interesting exercise. But before we get into that, we do want to applaud all of the girls' state champions from last week. B. Scott and I both went 3-1, which is pretty nice.
It is.
As far as our predictions go, I had Tecumseh, B. Scott had Noblesville, and then we both had Forest Park and South Bend, Washington. With South Bend, Washington, getting that insane win, 93 points.
I did say that the 3A could get ugly, could get out of hand. Sure enough, it did.
Yeah, it absolutely did. I mean, they win by, 93-36. So an incredible game.
Yeah, it was.
By them. And so we want to applaud all of them. It was a fun weekend of basketball last week, but you know what, B. Scott? It sets up for a fun weekend this week as well.
Hey, it is sectional weekend, and as the old adage my mom always would say, anytime it starts with Indiana boys high school basketball sectionals, you can guarantee that there's going to be a snowstorm or an ice storm in the state of Indiana. Well, I think that's going to be wrong because the forecast is looking for 70 and rain. So
it did get us for the girls sectionals.
That is true.
Girls sectionals was a little bit derailed by all the winter weather, but oh my gosh, it's supposed to be beautiful this weekend.
Except for the 2 inches of rain.
Oh, I mean, it's supposed to,
it's not supposed to start raining until after the sectional finals. So we're all good.
Yeah.
We can go to the sectional finals and stay dry.
Exactly.
As we're leaving the gym.
So let's go ahead. What our exercise is here is 64 sectionals in 64 minutes. That's kind of what our goal here is. We're going to go, some are rapid fire, some are going to be gut instincts, but we're going to go through class 1A, then 2A, then 3A, and then 4A. Sectional 64 starts in 1A, sectional 1 in 4A. We've got a few sectionals kind of highlighted as ones we're going to go a little bit more in depth on, but the rest we're going to try to go relatively quickly here as we do talk about all 64 sectionals here. So let's go ahead and get things going here. We're about 4 minutes and 20 seconds into the show, so that will, if we can get this in, if we can wrap it up by a minute or an hour and 8 minutes, we will know how we have done our job. So starting off with Class A, Sectional 64, Springs Valley Sectional. I'm going to go with Springs Valley. They are 20-3 on the season. A lot of the ones we go quicker on are going to be just kind of ones where they were, just kind of far and away the favorite, and that's what we're going with. B. Scott, who do you have in 64?
Yeah, I have Springs Valley as well. I'm coming in with a 20-3 record. It's going to be hard to pick against them.
One of the sectionals we do have a pretty keen eye on is Sectional 63 in Lagodi. Kind of bringing you up to date on the action here. Number 2, North Davies on Tuesday beat Catholic 71-19. But the big shocker of the night, Orleans, who at one point was ranked, they won 49-45 over number 3 Lagodi in overtime. That sets up a Friday matchup of number 4 Bar Reeve 16-7 versus Orleans 17-7 in the nightcap. Of course, that's going to be preceded by Shoals 19-14 against number 2 North Davies 21-3. And looking at this, I mean, this is just going to be a fun couple of days of basketball, because you've got North Davies, who I think they're going to take care of business in game 1 on Friday. I think they advance to the sectional final. But in the sectional semifinal number 2 of the day, Number 4, Bar Reeve. I mean, you've got the defending 1A state champs. They're in our thumbnail for a reason. I mean, they, were able to get it done. They've got that championship pedigree, over these, last few years. They beat Orleans by 22 in the regular season back in December, and they have Hagen Neep, who is a top 10 scorer in 1A and averages 20 points per game. So, like, you look at that and you're like, okay, overwhelming favorite is Orleans. But, I just can't get over the upset because we were talking about it last week. As some of this, we were kind of doing a mini preview of like sectional pairings to watch, and we were like, "Oh, this sectional 63, you've got North Davies, you've got Bar Reeve, you've got Lagodi. It's gonna be insane." And then what does it end up being? We get an upset right off the bat with Orleans. And I just want the upset, man. I'm going to take Orleans to beat Bar Reeve. I want to see the upset here. I do, though, ultimately think North Davies will win the sectional. They did hold Orleans to 21 points in January. So, I mean, whenever you kind of... I just think that's one that, like, I don't think you can just explain away as, like, oh, we had a bad shooting night, because that's a really bad shooting night. Of course, the defense for North Davies, was on point as well, but... I'm going with North Davies to ultimately win this sectional, but I think it's going to be a fun way we get there.
Look, I have to go with Bar Reeve. Bar Reeve, defending champs, championship pedigree. I mean, this program is a perennial power in 1A. I mean, when I was in high school, I was watching, when I would go to the state championship games, Bar Reeve was there. It was Bar Reeve. Now, I remember one of the games, I remember Bar Reeve actually losing to Hauser, but that's only because the video crew that I was on at Lawrence North, we had a relationship we grew a relationship with Hauser, so we were pulling for them at that time. But look, Bar Reeve knows how to get the job done this time of year. This is when they shine their brightest, is playoff time. So yeah, there is a potential upset watch just because Orleans is they're riding high right now coming off of that first round upset, but Bar Reeve is a different animal. Ultimately, I'm really looking forward to the finals of North Davies and Bar Reeve, but I'm picking Bar Reeve to win this one.
Yeah, I mean, not a bad choice at all. Bar Reeve, not only last year's defending champions, but won in 2015 as well. So as of late, they've been one of the premier programs in 1A. Sectional 62, the Edinburgh sectional. I'm going with number 7, Edinburgh. They're 20-3. In sectional 6, B. Scott, who do you have in that one?
I have Edinburgh as well. Yeah.
Sectional 61, Borden. I've got number 16, Borden. They are 14-7. Their only loss in 1A this year is to Rock Creek Academy, who was the other team I was kind of like leaning towards. But ultimately, I'm going to go with Borden, number 16 at 14-7.
Yeah, I mean, the only other team I may want to look at is South Central. I don't really have any reasoning, just kind of a gut feel, since that's what we're doing, is going off of our gut. But yeah, Borden.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that's what like you said, that's what it's all about. We're going by our gut feeling, a little bit of research here and there. Sectional 60, Southwestern Shelbyville. I've got number 10, Jacksonville. Pretty easy here, 18-5. I think they're the favorite to win that sectional. I think they'll get it done.
Yeah, I want to go with Hauser just because of that past relationship in this sectional, but honestly, Jacksonville, they have the proven record here, so I'm going Jacksonville as well.
Now another sectional we've got kind of highlighted here, just because I think the sectional semifinal is going to be the most intriguing matchup outside of the actual sectional final. We've got the Lutheran sectional on Tuesday. Greenwood Christian won 61-41 over Cristo Rey. Lutheran won 60-38 over Central Christian. On Friday, the team that got the bye in this sectional, Victory College Prep 1-22 against Greenwood Christian 16-9, and then of course the night they're both at night, but in the second game, number 6 Tinley 16-7 against Lutheran 16-5, and that's the one where I think
that's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. I think It's going to be a tough semifinal for Tinley as well as the championship game because I mean I don't count Greenwood Christian out either. They're a really good scrappy team. I think they can get it done. But I think ultimately the Tigers do get it done. They've got they average 72 points per game, which is good enough for first in 1A. So when you're literally the best scoring team in 1A, that says something. And then you've got Aaron Humphrey Jr., who's the 20th best scorer in 1A in terms of points per game, 15 in terms of total points. I mean, you've got a recipe for victory. And then you look as well at what they're able to do. Lutheran, their offense has only scored 70 plus 4 times this season, so you kind of think, oh, hey, how well can Lutheran's offense keep up with what Tinley can do? And I just am not sure they can get it done. Also, the defense for Lutheran averages 51 points allowed per game. The Tigers have only scored 51 or less in all but one game. So, this is a team that scores really well, and I just don't know if the Saints can keep up.
Yeah, I'm going with Tinley in this one. Championship pedigree as well here. This is a team that plays bigger than 1A, in my opinion. So I got Tinley. But yeah, that's going to be a fun semifinal between them and Lutheran. Basically, in my opinion, winner of that game wins this sectional.
Yeah, I agree. Sectional 58, Bethesda Christian. I've got Indiana Math and Science, and you talk about
that's a heck of a name.
Well, so get this. You talked about how, former relationships, that's why you wanted to make a selection. With me, I called the game earlier this season with Traders Point and Indiana Math and Science, and they're both the Knights. So you think about the fact that, so you have to, at least my line of thinking is I have to say the full name of both teams. I can't just say...
That's a long name.
Right, I can't just say, oh, the Knights, 61 and the Bulldogs 60. I have to go Indiana Math and Science 74, Traders Point, 61 or whatever. So
isn't Indiana Math and Science, isn't that the one that's at least when we were there, was located on the Ball State campus? Or is that another?
I think that's different.
That's different. Okay.
Yeah. So, so I'm going with Indiana Math and Science. They're 16-9. I've seen them play this season. Their 2 top scorers are Cameron Horridge and Maury Lewis, and they are really good. They've got a lot of good chemistry, and I think they're going to come out.
I see what you did there.
There we go. Didn't even realize I did it, honestly. Did it accidentally. But yeah, I really think that they're going to, I think they're going to get it done.
Yeah, I'm going with Indiana Math and Science as well, mostly just because I love the name, and I don't know much about them, but Revenge of the Nerds.
Sectional, hey, I like it. Sectional 57, White River Valley. I'm going with number 8, Bloomfield. They're 18-6. Their only losses this season in Class 1A came to other ranked opponents, which there are no other ranked opponents in the sectional. So I'm going with Bloomfield.
Yeah, Bloomfield. Like you said, only ranked opponent losses, which is really good. It bodes well for them to hoist that sectional trophy.
Sectional 56, the Blue River sectional. I'm going with Blue River 13-10.
Yep, Blue River as well. Basically, with this one, it's home court advantage.
And then you've got sectional 55, the Westell sectional. This is the one I really wanted to go full force and go, hey, I went to Cowan. They've won the last couple of Westell sectionals, so I'm going with them. But they're 5-15 on the season, and I just like what Daleville does a whole lot better. They're a really good scoring team, so I'm going with Daleville 13-9.
I'm going to do what you didn't do. I'm going to go with Cowan just because I like to see upsets, Yeah. Why not?
It is March. Yeah.
It is March, and there's always going to be, it seems like there's always one team that really turns it on come March and makes a run that you never really expected. So why not Cowan?
Sectional 54 and at the Attica sectional, I'm going with number 11 Lafayette Central Catholic. They're 15-9. They're usually really seasoned. They don't play a lot of 1A schools. They play up in the other classes. So I'm going LCC here.
Yeah, Lafayette Central Catholic, and I don't think they have an Anthrop either.
Nope, no Anthrops at all. The Anthrop well has run dry. Sectional 53, Southern Wells. I'm going with Southwood 12-11.
Yeah, same here. Southwood. It's I don't know. It makes it tougher in some of these sectionals when these teams don't have they have close to 500 records. It makes it a little tougher, but yeah, South Wales.
Yeah, see, I took the reverse kind of angle. I see these more like these 500 ones as ones where you go more on gut, because it's literally kind of, I mean, you look at it, their records are literally a coin flip.
That's true,
so
yeah.
you can just be like, you know what? I'm going on a hunch here. That's what I did with some of these. Sectional 52, Tri-County, number 5. I'm going with number 5, North White. They're 19-3. They're 10-1 in class play, 6-0 versus their fellow sectional opponents. So I'm going with the Vikings.
Yep, I got the Vikings as well.
Sectional 51, the Fremont sectional. Gonna go with the home team, Fremont, 15-8.
When in doubt, go with the home court advantage. Like that's what my gut always says. So Fremont.
Sectional 50, the Triton sectional. I have got number 12, Argus, 16-5. They're on a 3-game winning streak and haven't lost to a fellow 1A school in regulation this season. Their only loss in overtime earlier this season to a 1A opponent. So I'm going with Argus.
I am actually going to go again. This is just a gut feel, but I'm going to go Culver Community.
Now, I gotta go and say that my mom did coach girls basketball at Argus, so I'd be remiss if I didn't say that. So another connection. At the count sectional, sectional 49, the final one for 1A, gotta go with the number 1 team in 1A, Gary 21st Century, 19-4. Not really any other close competition in that sectional.
Yeah, I mean, you want to pick somebody else to get the upset over number 1, but 21st Century Charter, got to go with them.
Not yet anyway. I don't know. They may get beat because the great thing about 1A is that their top 5 has shuffled quite a bit throughout the season. Yeah. So I think that's going to be really fun to watch. So we're going to move on now to Class 2A, and we're going to start with Sectional 48, the Southridge Sectional. I've got South Spencer, 18-3.
I have in this one, I'm going Evansville Mater Dei. I have a pass with Evansville Mater Dei, and they always just seem to have a really strong athletics program, whether it's football, whether it's basketball, or definitely wrestling.
Mater Dei did make it to the state championship in football this season, so I mean you're not.
And wrong. It wasn't that long ago. They were in the basketball state finals too.
Right. Sectional 47, the North Knox sectional. I'm going with number 5, Linton Stockton at 20-4. Again, another sectional where there's not really a lot of close competition.
Yeah, Linton Stockton, hands down. I love that it's the North Knox sectional and they got beat early. They got beat already. And South Knox is still alive.
Right. That kind of puts some salt in the wound there. Like, oh man, we're hosting it and we got to just kind of watch everybody else now. Sectional 46, Tell City, going with Eastern Pekin at 17-5.
Yep, I got Eastern as well. I thought about Tell City, but got to go with Eastern.
Sectional 45, Southwestern of Hanover, and I'm going with Providence, 15-6.
Yep, Providence as well. I mean, it's one of those schools that is typically in that conversation in 1A.
Sectional 44, South Ripley's sectional, North Decatur is the team I'm going with at 13-10.
Yeah, I like North Decatur as well, but ultimately I'm gonna jump on the Triton Central bandwagon there.
I like it. Sectional 43, South Putnam sectional. So, we talked about, pouring salt in the wound there, with North and South Knox. I'm going with North Putnam to win the South Putnam sectional, 19-4.
Are you going to have them beat South Put?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm going with South Put. I gotta go different from you.
Hey,
on this one.
I like it. Hey, sometimes the best. Look, there's some of these matchups where one team won the regular season matchup with the team that they're most likely going to play, at somewhere down the line, in this tournament. And sometimes you just got to fade that result. That's what I've gone in a couple different places here. The sectional 42, Park Tudor. I'm going with University, another team I've seen play this year. So I think that they're going to get it done.
I'm going with Heritage Christian. Heritage Christian is led by Miles Colvin, who's just playing out of his mind. This is a top 75 recruit in the country, the son of former Super Bowl champion Roosevelt Colvin. Miles Colvin's also a Purdue commit.
That and Roosevelt Colvin went to Purdue. That's what I was.
Roosevelt Colvin though played at Broad Ripple in high school, but he's playing out of his mind right now. So I'm going Heritage Christian because when you have D1 talent that can just put you on their back at this level, I mean, same thing happened with Tenley and Eric Hunter a few years back. Eric Hunter carried Tenley to a state championship, so I don't see why Miles Colvin can't do it with Heritage Christian.
Sectional 41 in Hagerstown. I'm going with number 9 Eastern Hancock. They're 18-5. They did best number 11 Northeastern in the regular season, who I think they're going to play along the line here, and they racked up 93 points in their sectional opening win. So they're playing really well right now, playing hot. I'm going with the Royals.
Yeah, I have to agree on that one as well. I do have Eastern Hancock winning this sectional.
Sectional 40 in Alexandria, a semifinal that I will be attending tomorrow. So that's going to be a fun time.
Calling it?
No,
Or just
not
going
calling
as
it.
a
Just
fan?
going as a fan. So first high school basketball game I've been to in a minute where I've just been a fan. So that's going to be interesting. So Tuesday's games, LaPel won 53-31 over Alexandria. So another tough opening round, like early out by the host school. Wednesday's games, you had number 7 Wapahani win 49-43 over Frankton, and you had number 1 and undefeated Monroe Central get the 63-26 win over Elwood. That makes a Friday matchup of Winchester 13-8 versus LaPel 12-11, and number 7 Wapahani 19-4 versus number 1 Monroe Central 22-0. And B. Scott, I really want to pick the upset here. I really do. I want to say that Monroe Central is going to get their first loss, of the season. But Monroe Central defeated Wapahani 54-53 in February. Isaac Andrews, the second leading scorer in 2A, had 29 points in the loss. Now, something to keep an eye on, though it doesn't seem like it's going to be a tremendous issue, but one to at least keep track of. Andrews did suffer a sprained ankle versus Frankton. So that could potentially, slow him down a bit. And then you talk about, who's the supporting cast of Isaac Andrews. It's Aiden Franks, who's 2A's 10th leading scorer. And he had just 6 points in that game against Monroe Central. And he typically averages 19. And then you look at what the Bears have. They have Jackson Olam, who averages 16 points per game, and they had 18 points versus Wapahani in February. And then fellow senior Gavin Smith-Burciaga, a 3C Media Player of the Week recipient, he had 14 points in the victory against Wapahani. And it's kind of Monroe Central is best summed up by a Star Press article that came out after they finished their undefeated season, and it basically points out how they're 22-0 and number 1 and 2A despite not really doing anything special. They're a team that just has a great group of guys who can just get the job done, and sometimes that makes you even more dangerous when it comes to a tournament like this, because it's not like, oh hey, we run through these 2 or 1 to 3 players, and if they have a bad night, we're in bad shape. It's a, hey, you know what? Whoever finds, we may have a night where we're, on fire shooting. We may have a night where our defense is really good. We may have a night where, our free throw shooting makes a difference. I mean, whenever you just kind of find ways to win, that makes you extra dangerous. So in the end, as much as I want to go Wapahani with the upset, I'm going Monroe Central.
Yeah, I'm going Monroe Central as well. I mean, this team has made it through the season undefeated. Sectionals isn't where you get tripped up. Regionals?
Maybe.
Perhaps. You never know. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. If you get tripped up in sectionals as an undefeated team, the season was a total disaster for you.
Right. Sectional 39, Tipton. I'm going with Tipton at 15-6. Go with the home team.
Yeah, when you look at the rest of the teams in this sectional, you just have to go with the home team on this one as well. For me, Tipton.
Sectional 38, the Weibo sectional. I'm going with
football.
Oh yeah, for football, dude. The first football sectional game. No, actually, it was like the second or third. It was a sectional championship game with Park Tudor, and Weibo just ran Park Tudor out of the gym. It was just an insane game. So, Weibo, their athletics program is usually pretty good as well. I'm going with number 6, Carroll of Florida. Their only loss this season is to 1A North White by just 1 point. So, I mean, when you're that close to being, undefeated, that's pretty incredible. So I'm going with Carroll, Florida.
Yeah, I'm going with Carol Flora as well. It's just some of these smaller school sectionals are just so hard to pick because, I don't know. So, yeah, I'm going Carol Flora as well.
Yeah, I think the other team I was trying to decide between is Clinton Prairie, and again, it's kind of one of those things where Clinton Prairie, there's I've got a pretty solid relationship with Clinton Prairie, but I gotta go with I gotta go Carol Flora here, so that's gonna be a fun one. So sectional 37, Winnemac. I'm going with Lewis Cass at 12-11.
Huh. So this one has been kind of a tough one for me, but looking at all the other teams and their records, I have to go Lewis Cass as well. It's one of those. It's like, really, any of the teams have to advance?
Yeah, it's one of those where there's just a lot of just around 500 teams, and I think looking at it, let's see, it's the Winnemac one with Lewis Cass. That's one where I think Lewis Cass just had the best record amongst teams in that sectional, so that's where you go. Sectional 36 with Bluffton. I'm going with number 4, Fort Wayne Blackhawk. They are 20-4, but they are 12. They're 12-3 when playing above their class. So they typically, they're kind of like what we talked about with Lafayette Central Catholic, where they just, they're in 3A, but they don't often play 3A schools. They typically are playing, 4A squads. So I'm going Fort Wayne Blackhawk.
Yeah, I'm going Fort Wayne Blackhawk as well. They're also playing with a purpose. I don't know if he's still coaching or if he's now considered former coach, was diagnosed with terminal cancer. So that does kind of light a fire underneath you as well.
For sure. One of the other sectionals in 2A that we want to highlight, sectional 35, the Westview sectional. Tuesday, games opened up with number 3, Central Noble, defeating Churubusco 71-55. On Wednesday, Fairfield won 53-42 over Bremen, and number 2, Eastside won 42-32 over Westview. So on Friday, that sets up Prairie Heights 13-8 versus number 3, Central Noble at 23-2, and Fairfield 15-8 versus number 2, Eastside at 24-1. So I think we can feel pretty safe in predicting that it will be number 2 versus number 3 in the sectional final on Saturday. And these two teams have played twice already this season. So I'm liking some of these matchups we're going to get to more later that are, just kind of round 3. And we'll see what happens.
Winner take all.
Exactly. January 15th, Central Noble won 62-44 over Eastside. That's Eastside's only loss. And on January 21st...
6 days later.
6 days later. Not only does Eastside win 42-34, that means they held Central Noble to nearly 30 points fewer than they had allowed, 6 days earlier. So
talk about making the adjustment. I think, yeah. Wow.
Turning things around. And this is one of the things where public service announcement, put your stats on Max Preps. Find a way to do it. Find a way to figure it out. Because Eastside doesn't have any stats. I'd really love to know, what the difference was between that first game against Central Noble and that second game against Central Noble. Also a little late for this, but also PSA, your team is better than us, so if you see any discrepancies, don't be mad at us. Just let us know. But yeah, it's it's gonna be a fun game. Eastside is on a 10-game winning streak, where they're averaging an average margin of victory of 15 points. So they are on a mission as well. They've had some close calls along the way, but there's a line of logic that says they've erased their only loss on the season because, we talk about that a lot, especially in like college football where like, oh, hey, they lost to this team in the regular season, but they beat them in this conference championship. So that kind of undoes that loss. That's kind of what Eastside's done. They had that bad loss to Central Noble, and then 6 days later, they're getting on the victory side of it. So I'm going with the Blazers, the 24-1 Eastside Blazers to get the job done.
I'm actually going to go with Central Noble just because if you look at it, Eastside's offense in both of those games struggled to get over. They didn't score 45 points. They didn't even get to 45, whereas Central Noble was able to put up 62 in the first meeting. I don't know what, like you said, don't know what the difference was between the first meeting and the second meeting. Was there somebody out injured for Central Noble? What would have happened? So I'm going to go with Central Noble just because their defense looks like they were able to really shut down Eastside, and their offense had clicked at one point. Don't know what the difference was between that game and the second game, because that's a huge difference. So you wonder if there was somebody missing. in that second game for
Right.
Central Noble. So because of that, I am going with Central Noble to win sectional 35.
And that's why you want to update your stats so that way we know.
That way we know. I mean, seriously, but looking at what, I mean, I have to believe that the January 15th matchup is more like what you're going to see now compared to 6 days later,
right,
on January 21st. Something was off in that game. Something was off because, I mean, Eastside was consistent. 44 points in the January 15th matchup, 42 in the January 21st matchup. Central Noble, I mean, you scored 30 points less within a 6-day span against the same team. What's the difference? And the thing is, the January 21st one, you were at home. So, yeah, I have to believe the law of averages levels out here, and Central Noble, for some reason, like, if the margin of victory was a little bit closer on that January 15th one, I would probably go with Eastside because, January 21st, 8-point game. January 15th, 18-point game. That's a huge discrepancy there in differences. So I think when you just average things out, Central Noble still comes out ahead. So I'm going with that. I'm not very good at math, but I can tell you that even the average, I can't even explain it.
Hey, I mean, it is one of those toss-ups, and it's just going to be fun to see what happens.
I do have that Ball State TCOM math education. So.
Sectional 34, North Judson. I'm going with North Judson, 19-5.
North Judson, because you're the home team, and I like your name.
Yeah, Judson.
Got to go with it.
And then the final sectional into the Whiting sectional. I'm going with number 10, Lake Station at 19-3.
Yeah, Lake Station continues on to regionals.
Going now into Class 3A, we're going to talk about the Boonville sectional 32. I've got Evansville Bossy at 15-9. Evansville Bossy, earlier on in the season, there was a lot of hype surrounding them, and they've just kind of had a ho-hum season. So I think this is one where they can, I was at the game where they lost to Chittard, just seemed kind of out of sorts a little bit.
Losing to Chittard.
Yeah, and so I think
who does that outside of football?
And so they're gonna step it up, I think, in the sectionals.
Yeah, I'm going with Evansville Bossy as well, just because they are a more known commodity when it comes time to basketball. So law of averages, they'll figure it out and they'll advance on.
Sectional 31, the Princeton sectional. I'm going to go with number 4 Sullivan at 21-2.
Yeah, I got Sullivan as well. They're playing really hot right now, so that continues on for them.
Sectional 30, the Salem sectional. Going with number 13 North Harrison, 17-3.
Yeah, 17-3. The records don't lie. North Harrison's moving on.
Now, one of the highlighted sectionals, the ones we want to kind of stop and take a look at, Sectional 29, the Connorsville sectional. Tuesday's games saw Lawrenceburg win 48-35 over Rushville. Then on Wednesday, number 10 Greensburg gets the 39-36 win over number 9 Connorsville. Franklin County also won 33-25 over Batesville. So that sets up Friday night, South Dearborn 14-7 versus Lawrenceburg 18-7, and then number 10 Greensburg 21-4 versus Franklin County 17-5. So solid teams in this sectional semifinal. And you kind of look at it, you see 2 ranked teams on one side, and you see one, the team that's ranked lower get the win, and you think, hey, that means it's pretty much decided now, right? Greensburg gets the win over Connorsville, so I think we're going to go the rest of the way. Now, looking into it, I researched and I noticed that Franklin County blew the doors off of Greensburg in the regular season. I was like, oh, what happened here? Now, I was leaning to maybe say, hey, you know what? I think Franklin County gets the job done. But then, upon further review, Colin Comer, who is a 3A's 15th leading scorer and also a 3C Media Player of the Week recipient, did not play in that game. He had 23 points.
See, that is why you update your max prep stats.
Exactly, because he was not in that game. And then against Connorsville, he had 23 of the team's 39 points. So he really makes this team go. Now, looking at the other teams in that sectional, South Dearborn is 500 in class play. So I kind of wasn't really feeling that. And then Lawrenceburg is 4-3 on neutral courts this season. So another kind of 500 way to go here. So I'm going to stick with the Greensburg Pirates. I like them to win this sectional.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I guess if I had to look at anybody to potentially pull an upset here, it would be, I'd have to go lean towards Lawrenceburg. But Greensburg has already passed a huge test in Connorsville. So I'll say this is their sectional to lose.
Yeah. Sectional 28, the Speedway sectional. I'm going to go with Beech Grove.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Beech Grove as well. I really, it's, you gotta, sometimes I want to say Speedway, but
yeah,
no, go on Beech Grove.
Sectional 27, another one we want to kind of stop and highlight. Tuesday's games saw Brebeuf win 83-48 over Shortridge, Chittard win 64-62 over Crystal House. That set up a Friday showdown of Lebanon, 16-8 against number 12 Brebeuf, 16-7. Then you also have Guerin Catholic at 13-10 against Chittard, 16-7. Brebeuf is the favorite here. They have Billy Smith, a senior, who is the ninth most points in 3A. He averages 19 points per game. They did roll through round one, and then they beat Chittard, who I think they will most likely face on Saturday by 20-plus points this season, so it makes you strongly lean towards Brebeuf, but I also think it's important to note that Guerin defeated Brebeuf in the regular season. Chittard barely squeaked by 12-10 Crystal House on Tuesday, and Lebanon in solid 2. So we could potentially see, I think, Guerin shake some things up, in this sectional. But ultimately, I think Billy Smith is the best player in this sectional, best player on the court, and I think that is why I give. That's going to be why I give number 12 Brebeuf the edge here.
I used to coach at Brebeuf wrestling, so I gotta go with
be the upset of the century if you went against it.
I will tell you, you don't lose to Guerin. You just don't. When it comes to Brebeuf, you want to beat Guerin. If you lose to Guerin, it's not fun. But in any sport, so I'm going Brebeuf. They're playing really well this year. They have size. I don't think people, you don't see it too often at this level, but they like numerous size. Some teams have they'll have that one guy that's big. No, Brebeuf has the size to really disrupt a lot of teams. I'm going Brebeuf in this one. I wouldn't be surprised to see Brebeuf make a deep run.
Sectional 26, the Edgewood sectional. So I've got Northview winning this one 16-9. Their first round win made them 5-0 against sectional 26 teams. Number 5, Brownstown Central played all 23 games outside of sectional play, and while I don't think that matters too much. I just wanted to pick the upset here. So I'm going Northview 16-9.
I'm going Brownstown Central. I don't want to. I can't go. It's hard to go truly with an upset with a top 5 team.
Right. I mean, that's fair.
Also, I got to go different than you.
True.
And if you're going to the upset, somebody's got to pick the favorite, right?
Right, exactly.
I'll fall on that sword.
Sectional 25, the Frankfurt sectional. I'm going with Danville. They're 18-5.
Yeah, Danville as well for me.
Sectional 24, the Newcastle sectional. And man, talk about a team. I mean, Newcastle was ranked. They're hosting the sectional. And then against Jay County, they come out and they lose 44-33, and it's for that reason why I have the Jay County Patriots taking home the sectional title. They're 20-4 on the season. I think they get the win.
Yeah, I'm going with Jay County as well. Man, beating Newcastle in Newcastle, and that's like one of the coolest gyms in all the state of Indiana. But yeah. That's a bummer because Newcastle's they're a good program.
Sectional 23, the Norwell sectional. It's the Fighting Rob-Con. I've got to go with Norwell here. Number 7 in 3A, 20-4. Let's go. Yep,
Norwell.
Sectional 22 in Garrett. I'm going with Leo. They're 17-5. They just lost to Woodland, who they will most likely play in the sectional championship. They played them last on February 25th, and it was a close game, so I just think they'll fade that result. So I think I got Leo winning that one.
I'm going to go Woodland.
Yeah, because there's logic there both ways.
Not?
Exactly, there's logic there, like, oh, they won the regular season matchup, and then there's also logic to be like, hey, that's really close, so maybe it'll just be the opposite this time.
Yeah, they have the blueprint, so why not deploy it again?
Sectional 21, Wawasee. I'm going with number 3, Northwood at 22-2.
Side note, Craig and I attended a really good party up in Wawasee.
Yeah, what was that?
About 7 years ago.
I was gonna say, I don't know if she's somewhere in the background or not, but you better not get it wrong.
Oh, I know the date. I just had to do the math.
I got you.
So
there you go. That's
like
good.
I said, me, math, no. But yeah, I'm going Northwood as well.
Sectional 20, Maconaquah. I'm gonna go with Maconaquah. Not only is it fun to say, they're 18-5. They're 1-1 against Peru, their semifinals opponent, and they defeated them 71-54 on February 22nd. So, and that's the only other team in the sectional that I thought might beat them. So I'm gonna go with Maconaquah.
I'm going Peru just to be different. But yeah, I do like to say Maconaquah, just like I like to say Wapahani.
Wapahani, Maconaquah, Mishawaka. That's where
Wawasee.
That's where we're going next. Sectional 19, Mishawaka, Marion. Tuesday's game saw South Bend Clay get the win over Jimtown, 59-56, and the number 1 John Glenn won 46 over South Bend, Washington. So that sets up Friday night, number 2, Mishawaka, Marion, 19-3 versus South Bend Clay, 8-15, and then South Bend St. Joseph, 12-10 versus number 1 John Glenn. And I think we get kind of it's not really a state championship preview because obviously these two teams can't play in the state finals. It really
should be, though.
Right. This is kind of your palate cleanser in sectionals on what the state championship might look like. We're most likely going to see Marion versus John Glenn in the sectional championship game. Glenn won the first matchup 49-45 back in January. All 3 other combined losses by these two teams came to 4A opponents. So that's pretty incredible. You have Bryson Hanna, one of the top scorers in 3A. He scored 15 for John Glenn versus Mishawaka Marion in the first matchup. Jack Porter had 14. The Falcons went to the line 15 times, made 12 shots, as opposed to Mishawaka Marion, who went to the line 3 times to make just 1 shot. Marion's Richard Brooks had 18 points. Zion Rhodes had 12. The loss was Marion's 3rd worst shooting night in terms of field goal percentage, and 2nd worst in terms of 3-point percentage. And so you talk about having a really bad night at the office combined with the fact that Marion is 6th in 3A in field goal percentage and 4th in 3-point percentage. This is a team that typically scores pretty well, and they had an off night. So I'm actually going to go Mishawaka Marion, the number 2 team in 3A. They're 19-3. I think they get the job done.
Gosh, I really want to go with John Glenn because of the name. It's just such a cool name, like an astronaut. But yeah, I'm going with Mishawaka Marion as well. Before I even knew who you picked, that's who I was coming at. When we talked about this sectional last week as kind of like a quick preview, I was like, this is Mishawaka Marion for me. So I'm sticking with my original gut pick.
Yeah, I like that. So Mishawaka, Mississinawa, all those fun names. Kankakee is where we're going next. Sectional 18, Kankakee Valley. I'm going Culver Academy, 16-7.
Yep, Culver Academy as well.
And then sectional 17, Hanover Central. I'm going with Calumet, 13-9.
Yep, I'm going with Calumet as well. This one's interesting. Hanover Central. Okay, I'm not too good with locations. Hanover Central, is it in Hanover, Indiana, like on the southern border?
I would imagine. I don't know entirely.
Because what's interesting is Calumet is way up in like near Gary, Indiana, South Bend area.
So then it can't be. It can't be. They're not making them. It's got to be some discrepancy there somewhere.
I know. I'm like, I have to know because. Yeah. That's like, okay.
Google it while we move on to 4A. Although I guess you got to come back in and do these other sectionals. So we pause. we stopped the 64-minute timer.
Okay,
too.
Hanover Central is up in northern Indiana, right on the Indiana-Illinois border,
Okay.
just southwest of Maryville.
Okay.
Okay, so that makes more sense because that's right just south of where Calumet is.
Okay. Yeah, that makes. I was like, "There's no way." They're not.
I was like, "There's no way. Like, how is that even possible?" Because I'm thinking Hanover, Indiana, and I'm like, that's like total opposite side of the state. You're really going to send them down there for sectionals?
Yes. Yes, we're sending them. So now we're on Class 4A, the final 16 sectionals here. Sectional 16, Evansville North. I'm going with Evansville Rights, 12-9.
Yeah, I'm going with Evansville Rights as well.
Sectional 15, the Seymour sectional. I'm going to go with Floyd Central here, 18-4.
Yep, Floyd Central for me on this one as well.
And then moving on to Martinsville, sectional 14. I'm going with number 12, Bloomington North at 20-3.
Bloomington North is a good program, so got to move on with them. They always seem to make it to semi-state. I mean, at least when I was in high school, we always played. Was it Bloomington? Yeah, it was Bloomington North. We always played in the semi-state game. It was always a pretty good game too.
Sectional 13, Greenwood. I'm going to go with Whiteland at 14-9. Franklin Central is undefeated in games versus the sectional, including a win over Whiteland. However, that was a 2 overtime thriller, so I'm going to go with Whiteland to just fade their previous result.
Not me. I'm going Franklin Central.
Alrighty, moving on. Sectional 12, Terre Haute North. Go with the home team. I'm going Terre Haute North, 21-4.
Same here, Terre Haute North.
So it's funny. Originally, we were gonna do a little bit more of a deep dive on Sectional 11, with Ben Davis, but then Pike lost to Ben Davis, and Ben Davis is kind of the clear-cut winner after beating Pike, in my opinion. So I'm gonna go Ben Davis here, 19-6.
You know, Ben Davis just has a sneaky good program here as of late, so I'm going with Ben Davis as well, especially as the home team.
Now we talked about Sectional 10 and North Central last week. And we're going to talk about it now, too, because it's going to be a fun one. Tuesday's games saw number 11 Lawrence North win 53 to Attucks' 40. Then Wednesday's
CJ Gunn just went off in that game.
Wednesday's games, number 8 Cathedral got the 76-68 win over North Central. And then Lawrence Central, Tech gets the win there. I didn't actually update that matchup, so let me go ahead and look up, make sure I'm not wrong here, even though I guess already said it, but you know. I
don't think you are.
Tech won. Okay, Tech and Cathedral. Yeah. Okay, good. I was like, wait a minute. I'm pretty sure Tech won,
that
but let me just go back.
That would be a huge
That would be monumental. Yeah, I just didn't update it. So that's good. That's a little bit of off my mind here. But that sets up, a matchup in the semifinals of Warren Central 15-7 against Lawrence North 16-6, Cathedral 20-6 versus Tech at 18-7. So I mean, inject round 3 of Cathedral and Tech into my veins, man. I'm excited. I'm ready. Tech has 3 scores in the top 35 in 4A. Reggie Bash, Rashid Jones, Davion Turner. Cathedral has 1 in Tayshawn Comer. Tech won the first meeting 80-73 back in December. Bass had 29. Jones and Turner both had 17, so they scored all those 3 guys scored all but 17 of the team's points. And then Comer had 29 in the loss. Then they squared off in the Indy City tournament. Cathedral got the 80-64 win. Comer had 25. Jaron Tibbs had 23 for the Irish. Bass had 26. The other 2 combined for just 18 points, and it did get a little contentious at the end of the game. So, I mean, that sets up, we talked about round 3 of some of these matchups earlier. That sets up a pretty solid, win or go home, do or die, final, winner take all matchup between these 2 teams. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The winner of this game goes on to win the sectional, in my opinion. Sorry to the Fighting Brandon Scotts of Lawrence North. But I'm gonna go. I mean, Cathedral's the hotter team right now. They're winners of 3 straight and 6 of their last 7. Tech has gone 3-3 since their city tournament loss to the Irish, so they haven't really necessarily been the same team. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick the Irish.
Yeah, I do have the Irish making it to the sectional finals. I do have them beating Tech. For some reason, Tech just really has struggled to come away from that game earlier against Cathedral and the way things ended. But I'm ultimately going to go with Lawrence North in this sectional. I mean, LN, the program itself is a winning program. I mean, it's had the same head coach since the doors opened of that school. And Jack Kiefer just knows how to get the most out of his players at the right time. Do I think this team has state championship capabilities? No, I don't. Not like last year's team. But I do believe this team is the one that comes out of sectional 10, Lawrence North for me.
Hey, you know what? I like it. I like
you
it.
Couldn't go with your school. You couldn't do it. You couldn't go with Callan.
No. So I can't say anything.
I don't know. Lawrence North has a little bit more of a rich tradition when it comes to basketball.
I mean, look,
so.
The 2 sectionals that Cowan won. Cowan has won back-to-back Westell sectionals. I can't remember what the stat was or what I did to look it up or what I had at the time, but Cowan's win in 2020 because they won the 2020 sectional. Of course, that's when they stopped play. That season there was no state finals in 2020. So I was like, when's the last time Cowan's season is ended with a win? Because obviously everybody's season except for 4 teams ends with a loss. In sectional or in state finals play. So
Lawrence North has sectional trophies stacked on top of sectional trophies, and some trophy case tucked away in a corner because they got bigger trophies to worry about. But like in my 4 years at Lawrence North, they won sectionals every year, one of the toughest sectionals. And the earliest they got knocked out was the final round of regionals. That was my freshman year. They lost to eventual state champion Pike.
Yeah, Cowan. My time in high school, they made it to one sectional semifinal, I think, or whatever. They were supposed to. There was the best chance they had to win that year, and they lost. I can't remember who it was. I just remember driving to Southern Wells because Cowan was in the Southern Wells sectional for whatever reason. But yeah,
if we weren't losing in regional finals my freshman year, we were winning the state championship every other year.
Yeah, so a little bit more of a championship pedigree there. We're also going to hone in on Sectional 9, Greenfield Central Sectional. Tuesday's games, we saw New Pal win 63-57 over Muncie Central. Wednesday's games, you had number 7, Mount Vernon, win 86-74 over Pendleton Heights. Then you had number 10 Anderson get the win over Greenfield 64-39. Friday's games are going to be Richmond 10-14 against New Pal 18-6, and then you also have number 7 Mount Vernon 20-2 versus number 10 Anderson 20-4. Another game where you're like, man, it's kind of a shame that these two teams have to play in the semifinals and not for a sectional title. So, New Pal waiting for the winner of this epic Mount Vernon Anderson showdown. The Marauders against the Indians, most, if not all of their 6 combined losses came against teams that at one point were ranked in 4A. Only team I can't recall if they were ranked is Noblesville, but they probably were at one point, I feel like, but maybe not. Because I feel like Noblesville is just always kind of ranked or near close to being ranked.
kind of there.
Yeah, they're there. So that's the only one I couldn't verify, but everybody else I recognized from just kind of looking and keeping track of the ranked matchups this season. Anderson also has 2 top 40 scorers in Amir Carson and Ty Wills. Amir Carson is 12th and Wills is 40th. Mount Vernon's leading scorer, Ahmad Jared, is 45th in scoring for 4A. Anderson also is 11-1 when Carson scores 20 or more points. Jared has scored 20 points just 5 games this season. So I give that edge to Anderson just because Carson is more of a difference maker, and I think that he will have a strong performance on Friday night. And then, as far as New Pal goes, they have the 11th leading scorer in 4A in Steele Brassfield. But Anderson's the better shooting team. They average 64% from the field, 47% from 3-point. So overall, I'm going Anderson to win this sectional.
Yeah, I'm going Anderson as well. A lot of the same reasons I'm going with Anderson in this one is a lot of the same reasons I picked Noblesville. Well, not really, because Anderson doesn't have a player going to play for Gino. But when you have a player that can just go off and take over an entire game, that's a huge, huge difference maker to be able to carry you through a tournament like this. So I'm going Anderson as well.
Sectional 8, the Noblesville sectional. This one has gotten pretty crazy early on. Tuesday's games saw Noblesville get the 67-53 win over Zionsville. Westfield upsets number 2 Fishers.
See, I don't know if that's really an upset, though. I can't say it. They're not ranked because the majority of the season was like, there's been a big chunk of this season where their best player, who is one of the front runners for Indiana Mr. Basketball, Braden Smith, was out with a foot injury. So I'm not shocked by that final score.
Yeah, they were ranked earlier this year too, Westfield.
Like, they were ranked highly. I mean, this is a team that is, I'll get to it later. I'll shut up now.
No, you're good. But Westfield gets the win there. That sets up Friday night, number 3 Carmel 17-5 versus Noblesville 13-10, and then Hamilton Southeastern 9-13 versus Westfield 19-6. So, we're on a collision course here for Westfield versus Carmel. Is it true that Westfield's never won a sectional? Because I tried to look it up and it didn't show that they'd won one on John Harris.
That could be true. That could be very well be true.
I felt like that was mistaken.
No, because if you think about it, this is their constant sectional.
They do typically lose to Carmel. Yeah, I did notice that.
Carmel. I mean, look how many times Carmel's made it to state here recently. So it's not surprising. I mean, if Carmel comes out of this sectional, Carmel gets to the state championship. That's just kind of the way it goes. But typically, I mean, in the past, HSC has had a really good team. Not sure too much about Noblesville. Fishers is kind of surprising. Fishers doesn't usually have that heavy of a hitter, but Zionsville's usually right there. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's a legitimate stat that they haven't won, that Westfield has not won a sectional. I don't know. I wasn't looking the other night when I was in their gym for their high school's dance marathon. I did not see any sectional championship trophies. There wasn't very many basketball trophies, I will say that, because took my son around and we were looking, and I did not see many.
Yeah, so I mean that's really pretty wild to think about. But we're on a collision course for Westfield and Carmel. Westfield did beat Carmel 43-42 back on January 8th. That's the Rocks. That's what game where the Rocks won despite tying their worst night from the field and with 33%. Shooting. They also shot 40. They did shoot 47% from 3-point range. Westfield defensively gives up 52 points per game. Carmel averages 53 points per game offensively. Westfield is 12-0 when allowing less than 52 points. Carmel is 7-5 when scoring less than 53 points. So I mean, you look at it and it's almost like you look at the stats here, and they just cause me to overwhelmingly look at this and say that Westfield's gonna win the sectional. I think they're going to get the job done because I think the numbers just support that. I mean, when you go against a team like Carmel and have your worst shooting night, I mean, obviously without their best player, but still.
That game was played at Westfield, though. I will say that. So that. And that,
right, but worst shooting.
I wasn't there, but that gym was packed.
Right.
That gym was just packed.
But again, worst shooting night, though. I mean, you go out there, you have your worst night. You do manage a really good night from 3-point range, and that obviously helps you get the win. But at the same time, you have, I don't anticipate them having another rough shooting night. And then you also factor, so yeah, they won't maybe hit as many threes, but they'll hit more twos, and they score more just than what Carmel has been able to muster a lot of times this season. So I'm going with Westfield here.
Yeah, I'm going with Westfield too. Braden Smith is back and healthy now. I know he was been on against Fishers. He was on a little bit of a pitch count almost per se with limited minutes. But when Braden Smith is on the court, this Westfield team just plays at a different level, and they are a totally different team with him. I don't know. He's got this grit to him when he plays. Okay, I'm going to compare him to a former Purdue player, but just because the body build and the style of play, he's a little bit better. He's a lot better offensively than this player I'm going to compare him to. But former Purdue player way back in the early 2000s, Chris Kramer, kind of reminds me of Braden Smith. But Braden Smith is much more of a scoring threat than Chris Kramer ever was. But yeah, because of him being back healthy, I'm going with Westfield in this one. And it's time. It's time. Westfield is having a heck of a season all across all sports. I mean, state runner-up in football, heavyweight at wrestling was a state runner-up. So just got to keep it going. Time to get another team to the state finals and maybe bring home a state championship trophy this time.
Yeah, for sure. Sectional 7, Logansport Sectional. I'm going with number 14, Lafayette Jeff. They're 20-4. They did lose to Harrison Lafayette, their likely foe in the sectional championship game earlier this season. I just think they avenged that loss.
Yeah, same thing. I'm going with Lafayette Jeff in this one.
Now, Sectional 6, Huntington North. I'm going with Homestead, 20-5. They do have, Fletcher Lawyer, Purdue commit, one of the best scorers in the state. So gotta go him there.
Yeah, if Braden Smith doesn't win Mr. Basketball, it's going to be Fletcher Lawyer. Actually, it should be the other way around. If Fletcher Lawyer doesn't win Mr. Basketball, it's going to be Braden Smith. Those are your top two guys in the state. Fletcher Lawyer can shoot lights out.
2,000 career points.
In this one. I mean, it's unreal. And what's funny is his brother played at Michigan State, was a really good basketball player, but Fletcher Lawyer is even better than his brother who played for Tom Izzo.
Sectional 5, the DeKalb Sectional. I'm going with Fort Wayne Snyder. They're 16-7. They have the fourth leading scorer in 4A and 3C Media Player of the Week recipient, Carson Jenkins. So I'm going with that.
Yep, Fort Wayne Snyder for me as well.
Sectional 4, the Elkhart Sectional. I'm going with number 6, Penn, 21-2 on the season.
Yep, give me Penn as well.
And then we've got Sectional 3, the Plymouth Sectional. Michigan City is the team I'm going with. They're 15-8. Their only loss against teams in their sectional was to 6-16 Plymouth in January. They did come into tournament play on a 4-game winning streak, so I'm going to give Michigan City the edge.
Yeah, Michigan City, just because of that win streak, they continue it on, keep playing hot.
Sectional 2, Portage. I'm going with number 1, Chesterton. They're 23-0.
Wow. Yeah, got to go with the undefeated team here. Chesterton. It's so surprising that Chesterton number 1.
Yeah,
wouldn't have thought.
Yeah,
that one.
Just kind of a random team up at the top, but hey, I mean, I'm all for it. And then finally, Sectional 1, Lake Central. I'm going with Munster at 19-4.
I like their cheese. Got to go with Munster.
And there we have it. We're in an hour and 2 minutes, just about to cross over to an hour and 3 minutes. Couldn't have timed it any better. So I'm gonna, as a victory dance, we're just gonna drag out this final minute of the show. But yeah, there you have it. There are our state sectional predictions here. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a wild weekend of basketball. So we're just immensely excited for that. I can't get the outro music to play, so we're just gonna forget it. I was kind of stalling to do that. But it's going to be a really fun weekend. I'm excited to see what teams advance because, of course, we're going to be talking about the regionals next week. Don't forget to follow us at 3C Media Sports on Twitter, or you can like us 3C Media on Facebook. Go check us out on TikTok, 3C Media over there, YouTube as well. Our IndyCar preview is doing really well right now, so thank you guys all for your support.
It's because we mentioned Scott Dixon.
It can't be any other reason.
Kiwi.
So, we've got that going on, so make sure you check out over there. Remember, you can listen every week on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and then also we do stream, the Hoosier High School Huddle on Thursdays at 9, so if you want to come in and give us your thoughts, we can talk to you there. But yeah, and remember, you can follow me at Craig Crash or Crash Course FM on Twitter. B. Scott, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Brandon_Scott87.
Next week, we will be back to talk about the regionals. That's going to be really fun as well. Really excited to see who comes out on top this weekend. But until then, have a good one, everybody.